Today's video has been requested by my lovely wife Claire, who, not only being a massive horror fan, loves horror films involving sharks. This video is also for my mate Pete. Even though we live in landlocked Nottinghamshire, he's got this irrational fear of sharks, especially toilet sharks. Toilet sharks exist, Pete. They are real. They exist. Hello, welcome back to the Adrian Project. I'm Adrian with a face for radio, and on today's episode I'm going to bring you my top 5 shark attack films. So, cue the music. So, as always with my top 5 lists, these are the top 5 films that we own on DVD. We do know that other brands are available, such as Sharknado, The Reef, and the nightmare-inducing A Shark's Tale. So, we're going to kick off at the number 5 spot with 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. 47 Meters Down, Uncaged follows the diving adventure of 4 teenage girls exploring a submerged Mayan city. Once inside, their rush of excitement turns into a jolt of terror as they discover the sunken ruins are a hunting ground for the deadly great white sharks. With their air supply running out, the friends must navigate the underwater labyrinth of claustrophobic caves and eerie tunnels in search of a way out of their watery hell. So, 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. It's the sequel to the similarly titled 47 Meters Down. Now, this film gets an absolute panning by so-called film critics, especially on YouTube. And I tell you what, it is not as bad as they make out. As sequels go, it's pretty damn fine. We like it. The only thing I do feel lets it down a tad is it relies on too many tropes. There are quite a few things that you see coming. Of course, it involves teenagers, and there always seems to be in these horror films the mean girls, don't they, in these American high schools, even though this is set in Mexico. It makes me wonder, are kids like that in American schools? Is it a normal thing, or is it a product of Hollywood that's had a knock-on effect where gangs of girls think that's how you're supposed to behave? I don't know, that's an argument for another day. This film, if you've not seen it before, I could best describe as The Descent underwater. It's got a similar vibe to that. It's the same people who did the previous 47 Meters Down, but they've tried to do it, get away from the cage shark diving thing, and they've gone into a group of girls have gone off where they shouldn't have, which is your normal trope. Nobody knows they're there, another normal horror trope, and they go exploring underwater Mayan city that one of the girls' dads has discovered and is excavating. And as usual, things go awry. And one of the great things I like about this film is what they've done with the sharks, and they've made the sharks blind. As it turns out, some of these sharks got into these caves hundreds of years before, and they've evolved a life of having been totally blind and using other senses. Nice twist to the tale, I thought. There are plenty of jump scares in this. The acting, for the most part, is pretty good. Even though it's for teenage girls, they're not as annoying as you'd expect them to be. You have got the trope of the sensible one, the brash one, the tarty one, like that. All the tropes are there that you're going to get, but don't let that distract from the film. I think this is a great film. Absolutely love it. Me and my wife absolutely love it. And with that in mind, I'm going to give 47 metres down, uncaged, 3.5 evil Ednas. And taking up the number 4 spot is The Meg. When a massive creature attacks a submersible, the crew becomes trapped at the bottom of the Pacific's deepest trench. To save them from the clutches of the megalodon, a prehistoric 75-foot shark once believed to be extinct, a visionary oceanographer recruits expert rescue diver Jonas Taylor. Teamed with the oceanographer's daughter, Taylor must try to outwit the greatest predator alive, a killer he's faced once before. So, The Meg, this is another monster movie, if you want to call it that gets a lot of these reviewers hot under the collar. I mean, it's a 75-foot long megalodon shark, and it's being chased by Jason Statham. What's not to love about that? Switch your brain off. This is definitely a switch your brain off, night in with the lads or the girls or mixture of the two, whatever takes your fancy, get the beers in, get the popcorn in and slap this on. It is absolutely brilliant. It's a thrilling minute. Yeah, there are tropes in this, as we always seem to get in horror films nowadays. It starts off with Jason Statham trying to rescue a submersible that got stuck at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, I think it was. And as things usually happen, it all goes a bit awry and he blames himself. He was convinced that something else attacked the submersible, and of course nobody believes him. And we fast forward a couple of years and the same thing happens again. So we have to get Jason Statham in because he's some kind of top rescue bod. It's usual, oh, I'm not going back in the next scene. Oh look, he's back. There's some really laugh out loud bits in this. There are some really funny bits in it. It's not horror as in horror, it's sort of like tongue-in-cheek horror. And if you take it as that, you'll get a lot more enjoyment out of it. Also starring in this, we've got Batwoman. Ruby Rose is in it. She does a fine job in that. I thought she was good in the John Wick film as well. She's one of these newer upcoming actresses, I think, that I think's got a good career before if she gets to good, the proper roles. But of course, star of the show is the Megalodon. I'm not going to spoil it if you've not seen it, but I say the Megalodon you get first off. Just you wait and see. Right, so with all that in mind, if you want some switch your brain off, popcorn Saturday night with your mates fun, you can do no worse than give this a spin. And with that in mind, I'm going to give The Meg 4 evil Ednas. That takes us to the number 3 spot, and that's taken up by 47 metres down. Sisters Lisa and Kate become trapped at the bottom of the ocean when a shark diving expedition led by Captain Taylor goes horribly wrong. When the cable attaching the cage plummets 47 metres to the seabed, the sisters must figure out a way to get back to safety, battling injuries, lack of oxygen, and worst of all, bloodthirsty great white sharks. So, 47 metres down. You've got to take your hats off to the producers of this. They took a worn-out trope of the shark attack film and actually found a way of doing it that bit different. So in this film, it's not chomping away at surfers, it's not chomping away at people swimming near the beach. What it has is two girls that go on one of those shark cage diving expeditions. Everything's going well, you know, they're enjoying themselves after being a bit wary about doing it. And just as the cage is being lifted up, the winch that's pulling the cage up breaks, and of course the cage plummets to the sea bottom, which is 47 metres down. And while they're down there, of course, they're out of radio contact, so they don't know if the people on the boat are coming down after them or anything. Oxygen is starting to run out, so one of them decides that she's going to swim up towards the boat to see if she can get in radio contact. And it's around that time that we find out that the sharks have all become pretty interested in the state of affairs as what's going off. Loads of jump scares in this. It's absolutely brilliantly done, I think. It gets your palms sweating. It's one of those films. Absolutely love it. I say the acting's great, the setups are great. Not too many I saw that coming moments in this film, which is another plus for this film. Absolutely love that. So with all that in mind, 47 metres down, I'm going to give 4 Evil Ednas. Right, coming in at the number 2 spot, and one that's probably going to make you choke on your biscuit and your tea, it's Jaws. A giant great white shark arrives on the shores of a New England beach resort and wreaks havoc with bloody attacks on swimmers until a part-time sheriff teams up with a marine biologist and an old seafarer to hunt the monster down. So yeah, Jaws at the number 2 slot. Now, before I get all the hate and you're all kicking off in the comment section, I think this is an absolute classic film. I went to see it at the Pictures when I was 11, when it first came out. So I was there. I've grown up with this film. It is the film that started off the summer blockbuster craze. Before that, you'd had films coming out in the summer, but this was the one that started off all the big hype for the summer, the film coming out the summer of that given year. And yeah, it is an absolute classic. You know, I'm not taking that away from it. It's a classic. It's an important film because it, like I say, it kick-started the career really of Steven Spielberg. It made him into a household name, and of course it kick-started the big summer blockbuster film, like I said. But I say, this film is now nearly as old as me. It came out in 1975, and there are one or two things that haven't aged well, in my opinion. This is my opinion. Don't start getting hot under the collar. If you agree with me, fine. If you don't agree with me, fine. But there are parts of this film that I don't think have aged very well. It has still got the ultimate jump scare, the granddaddy of all jump scares. If you've seen the film, it's the bits with the head and the boat. But when we come to special effects, For 1975, what they were doing was great. Okay, Bruce the Shark didn't work half the time, and that's why you don't see him in the film for massive chunks of the time. It's sort of like suspense by not seeing what's there. But when you do see the shark, it's sort of like it's rubber shark territory, isn't it? For me, it's along the lines of Ray Harryhausen's dinosaurs in Valley of Gwangi, comparing them to what you get in Jurassic World. They are just so far apart. They are both important films in the way that they are made and how special effects are rendered these days. But there are times when Bruce appears on screen and it's almost comical. It's almost laugh out loud stuff, and it's not supposed to be. One of my parts in it where you sort of, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, is sort of like an above aerial shot of the boat as the shark swims past. Now this shark is supposed to be getting on for 20 feet long, and the shark that comes past looks about 9 feet. It looks like it's had its bottom half cut off. You wouldn't have noticed it in the pictures in 1975 or on the telly because we didn't have videos or DVDs to watch it and rewatch it and rewatch it. But now we've seen it that many times. There are moments like that stick out like a sore thumb. It's still got the suspense there. The acting's great. I think because Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss didn't get on too well, I think that added to the tension on screen, because I think you were just waiting for one or the other to take a swing at him. The other thing as well, I don't think that's aged well, is some of the dialogue. It's a bit cringe-worthy, especially Quint, played by Robert Shaw, when he's doing his little seed it is and he's laughing. It's like, it's a bit, for me, it's a bit cringe, and it's sort of like, no, get past that bit. But then again, it's like I say, Jaws, an absolute classic. If you haven't seen it, you must be too young to be watching my video, so clear off. I'm not getting done from YouTube or copyright like that, or you just don't like horror films. But it's like I say, it's a classic. It is the granddaddy of all summer blockbusters. It's the granddaddy of all shark films. This is the film that every shark film has been based on, looked at and re-looked at and worked around. So with that in mind, and taking into consideration how I feel it hasn't aged well with, like I say, some of the dialogue, which is a bit clunky, and the special effects, which are definitely dated, I'm going to give Jaws 4.5 Evil Ednas. So, what is my favourite shark attack film? Well, here at number 1, it's The Shallows. In a taut thriller, when Nancy is surfing on a secluded beach, she finds herself on the feeding ground of a great white shark. Though she is stranded only 200 yards from shore, survival proves to be the ultimate test of wills, requiring all of Nancy's ingenuity, resourcefulness, and fortitude. So there we have it. The Shallows is my and Claire's number 1 favourite shark film. If you've not seen it, you're missing out on an absolutely brilliant film. Blake Lively is absolutely awesome in this film. She is fantastic. You will be rooting for her all the way through. The shark effects are absolutely superb. From a very, very simple premise of she's gone surfing, there are a couple of other guys surfing with her at the same time. She decides to stay out just a little bit longer and discovers a whale carcass that's been chewed into, not realising that there's a shark loitering around who takes a little nibble at her leg. So she has to swim for it and get onto this rock that's in the middle of the sea because the tide is low enough for her to climb onto it. And from that little premise of her being stuck on the rock, trying only 200 yards away from the beach with a shark circling, and it is really tense stuff. So there is a bit of gore in it as well. She is training to be a doctor, which is handy when it comes to doing your own stitches, because you need to do her own stitches, and it's a bit wincy. If you don't like blood or you're a bit squeamish, you might want to look away on the bit where she's sewing up her leg. And it's just a game of cat and mouse with the great white shark, which is said to be a theme for these 5 films. They've all been great white sharks. I mean, there's plenty of other man-eating sharks out there, like hammerheads and makos and, you know, sharks like that attack people, but poor old great white always seems to get in its neck, doesn't it? But as I say, it's a game of cat and mouse between Blake Lively's character and the shark, and just every time you think she's got this way out, up pops Mr. Shark. It's like, oh, I'm having none of it. Absolutely edge of your seat stuff. Love this film to bits. IndieWire says this is the best film, shark film since Jaws. I think this has actually knocked it off its top spot for me. That is, you may not agree with me, I don't know, but for me, this is, I think it's a much better story, and I'll say the effects, modern, so you can't knock the effects, even though it's a bit unfair, you know, to compare the two, you know, especially for some 75 and the special effects that we're getting now, 2015, 2016. But I think the story's a hell of a lot better. I think there's more tension in it. As for tropes, probably 2, if that. You know, your horror movie tropes. See if you can spot them. But yeah, the ending is a little bit, far-fetched, shall we say, but it's no more far-fetched than Rob Schneider shooting at an air tank in a shark's mouth and blowing it up. But no, absolutely love this film. The Shellers, if you have not seen it, stop what you're doing, go out, buy it, rent it, stream it, whatever you do, whatever you get your films. I can highly recommend this film. And with all that in mind, I'm going to give The Shallows my full 5 Evil Ednas. And that's the end of yet another episode. I hope you all enjoyed that one. If you did, and you haven't done so already, could you please remember to subscribe to my channel. At the moment, I'm aiming to get 1,000 subscribers, and as soon as I hit that 1,000th subscriber mark, I will donate at least £20 to Macmillan Nurses here in the UK. For those of you living outside of the UK and you don't know who the Macmillan Nurses are, they are there to help everyone with cancer live life as fully as they can, providing physical, financial and emotional support. I myself have had their services firsthand, and I can tell you they are exceptional. A lot of the time they do have to rely on public donations, so if you'd like to find out more about Macmillan Nurses, or in fact give a little donation yourself, then please visit www.macmillan.org.uk. Okay, I'd like to thank you all again for watching. It's very much appreciated. Don't forget, you can still follow me on Facebook and on Twitter, if that's going to be easy for you. And here's to seeing you all again on the next episode of the Adrian Bout Project.